What's up everybody? Hammerheart Metal Reviews here once again. Today we are doing a discography overview of one of my favorite active bands, and that is Ereb Altor, a severely underrated band in my opinion. I am going to go chronologically through their entire discography, showing my CD collection as I own every CD this band has released. I'll talk about each album in the sequence that it was released, and then at the end of the video I will give you my ranking from least favorite to favorite. I did a ranking of this band previously a couple years back when their previous album Varg Timmen had come out, but I felt like with the new album Helsingborg coming out, what better time than now to revisit the entire discography and make another video, because I absolutely want to take any opportunity I can to talk about this band. If you're unfamiliar with them, they are from Sweden. They play very much like they started out as like an epic doom band. These days they classify themselves as Scandinavian metal, which is a very fitting genre tag for them because it's hard to pin them down into one thing. There's still some elements of epic doom in there, but this is very like black metal mixed with Viking metal, mixed with some elements of folk, kind of some different sprinkles thrown in there to really just create their own sound and their own atmosphere. The biggest influence on this band is definitely Quorthon and Bathory. They make no qualms about that, wear their influences on their sleeves, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. They feel like the spiritual successors to Bathory, at least to me. Like, the influence is undeniable. They are still doing their own thing within this style, though. This isn't just a Bathory copycat. They have a very unique style that sounds just like Ereb Altor. A couple of the guys in the band are also in the project Isol, which is an epic doom band. Definitely worth checking out as well. But this discography, everything they have released has just been consistently good. So as I'm going to go through these albums, I'm going to talk about some highlights. But really, like, there are no bad albums here. I think you should check out everything that they have released. So let's just start this off by starting at the very beginning, all the way back to 2008. Their first album was titled By Honor. So I've got the CD here. I'll also pull it out and show you the CD itself, if I can actually get it out of the sleeve here. So yeah, just very amazing stuff. I love the packaging that they always do on their CDs here as well. So yeah, like I mentioned earlier, to start their career, this is epic doom. There's not really any black metal in their sound at this stage. Check out that album art too. Absolutely love it. This is epic doom at its finest. Like I said, feels like a spiritual successor to Bathory, and specifically to like the epic era of Bathory. So think Hammerheart, Twilight of the Gods, that kind of style, but also throwing in some like Candlemass influences here. And that's kind of the style and vibe that this album has going for it. But they're bringing in their own influences and musical abilities as well, and it's just like, it's hard to put my finger on what makes this album so goddamn good, but they just nailed the atmosphere perfectly, and it just has this absolutely majestic feeling throughout. From the second the piano intro starts, you just know that you are in for an epic Viking ride, and I just absolutely love this album. If I had to pick favorite songs here, I mean, Awakening, the title track By Honor is a standout as well, but really front to back, this is an absolute masterpiece. I'm sure you've heard me talk about this album on countless occasions on this channel. But yeah, By Honor, an absolutely killer way they came out of the gates firing. Amazing debut. So a couple years later, in 2010, their sophomore album came out titled The End. So this very much continued in the same general style as the debut. This was still very much in the epic doom side of things, very epic Viking metal. At this stage, they were still just a two-piece, Mats and Ragnar. They're the mainstays in the band from the beginning. And like I said, yeah, this follows in the same footsteps as the debut. It's so grandiose and triumphant. It's just glorious Viking epic doom. The clean vocals are so well done on this album. They're just, yeah, they make you want to just raise your fist and sing along. The atmosphere, once again, is just perfect here. I'm not going to compare it to the debut yet because I'm going to save my ranking for the end. But yeah, this is a goddamn great album as well. I'm going to be saying that a lot as I go through this discography because I love every one of these albums. If I had to pick favorite songs here, Our Failure is absolutely amazing. And then you've got the closing 3 songs, The End, Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. The way they all tie together, it's so epic. Got long, drawn-out compositions. Just, yeah, another absolutely killer album. All right, so then go a couple years later into 2012 for their 3rd album titled Gas Strike. So this is where things started to change a little bit. At this point, they were now a 3-piece. They did bring in a drummer, Tord, who has been on every album since this, an excellent drummer. There's the CD on the inside as well. So if you had never heard the band before and you listened to their first 2 albums and then came to this one, it might be a little jarring at first because the style really shifted quite a bit from those first 2 albums. This is more of a transitional album, at least to me, kind of going from their old sound into what would become their new sound. Yes, there's still elements of Epic Doom here. It's not like they've abandoned that completely. Even to this day, they still have that foundation in their sound, but they've added a really nice black metal element to it this time around to really start forging a new sound and a new identity. So while it's completely different from the first 2 albums, I really like it, and it starts to take them on a different career trajectory, if you will. But all in all, this is a solid album. It's got some surprises in there, yeah, like things you wouldn't have been expecting after the first 2 albums, but there are some great tracks here as well. Dance of Darkness, Boatman's Call. All in all, another stellar album from a great band. So after that, the 4th album actually came out 1 year later in 2013, Fire Meets Ice. So this one just seemed like the culmination of everything that they had been kind of going for on Gas Strike, and they just made it even better here. Had their new sound where they're combining the black metal with the epic doom, and I just found that this really fully realized their sound and their potential. It perfected their new approach of bringing in the black metal elements. There's so much variation on this album from song to song. You'll have a clean vocal song that's so epic, that's more on the doom side. Then you have a raging black metal song, but it's just full of these memorable songs and moments. It's epic yet aggressive, and to me, this is easily one of their best albums, which I will talk about at the end when I do my ranking. I would say if you've never heard Ereb Altor before, this might be a good album as your introduction because it kind of has a little bit of everything, all the different flavors and different song styles that they do. There's a little bit of everything on this album, and I absolutely love it. It's really hard to pick favorites here because this whole album is great, but My Ravens is a standout. Sacrifice, Our Legacy, the closing track, just epic as hell too. All in all, another great album. All right. So after that, a couple years later, into 2015, they released Natram. So this one saw them take a little bit of a darker tone and atmosphere compared to the previous albums. It's not that everything was light and fluffy before that. That's not what I'm saying. But just the tone of the album seemed to have a darker atmosphere, and they dialed up the black metal elements a little bit. It still keeps that root in the epic nature, but it did kind of make a darker album, heavier album overall. I still really like this album. I will say maybe being the follow-up to Fire Meets Ice, it didn't quite hit the peaks of that album, but they had set such a high bar that's almost an impossible thing to do, but this is still, all in all, a very good album. All of these are. There's no albums here that I don't like. You got a song like Midsummer Blot, one of their best songs ever, and that's on here. The Dance of the Elves is amazing as well. All in all, maybe every song isn't as standout as on an album like Fire Meets Ice, but this is still a good album. Still got some standout moments. All in all, another solid release. So after that, they did something a little bit different. The next year, in 2016, they released Blot Ilt Tot, which is a Bathory tribute album, which is really cool. I mean, I usually wouldn't buy cover albums. This one actually just got released last year on CD for the first time, so I was finally able to pick it up. Before I was only able to stream it. But they kind of just made some choices of their favorite Bathory songs and recorded them. And if there was ever a band that's justified to release a Bathory tribute album, it's Ereb Altor. I mean, that's clearly their favorite musician and band, and them paying tribute here with playing their take on some of their favorite songs by him, I got no problem with that. It's a really cool listen. while maybe their sound is more focused on the epic side of things for songs like Home of Once Brave, which they do amazingly, by the way, they also do some of the harsher black metal stuff on here as well, like Woman of Dark Desires, Blood, Fire, Death, but they like draw out some of the choruses and put the Ereb Altor touch on it. And all in all, it's a very good tribute album. Like, yes, it's not original material. Generally, I would probably listen to the Bathory versions ahead of cover versions, but it's still every now and then to put this on. It's a fun listen. It's enjoyable. I mean, Bathory's one of my favorite bands, and so is Ereb Altor. So combining the two together, can't miss there. So the year after that, in 2017, they got back to original material and released their next album, Ulfven. Got the nice A5 digipack here. I always love these kind of packages. The like larger scale CD releases, you get the nice booklet in there, and I just love the way they're put together. I always snag these by bands when they release them. It's not a super common thing, but I'm glad that they released this. So this kind of followed in the footsteps of Natram. It's still a darker toned album. This has a very wolf theme throughout the whole album. It's very epic and triumphant, and at this point in their career, they kind of have their established sound down pat. It's maybe not gonna take you on any new journeys or like any new surprises is how I should word it. It's not to say it doesn't take you on a journey. Every one of their albums takes you on an epic journey, but this is just putting out another release in kind of a similar style to Natram. But when I say that, I like this one a little bit more. Some of the songs stand out a little bit more, like Ensign Svart Som Sat. The riffs in that song, amazing. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I should have apologized at the beginning of this video because I am terrible at speaking any language that is not English. I'm terrible at speaking English too half the time. So anyways, yeah, Ensign Svart Som Sat. Amazing song. Bloodline, the closing track on here as well, is great. There's even some bonus tracks on here as well. All in all, another awesome release. Keeping it going with some more epic stuff. In 2019, 2 years later, they released Yartekin. Amazing cover art on this one for sure. There's the back. Show you the whole inside here as well. I just love the whole package once again. Like, this is one of my favorite album arts that they've done for sure. This one is epic as hell, and once again, they just have this really nice balance of different song styles, whether it's the raging black metal or the more epic Viking style songs. And there are some of my favorite Ereb Altor songs ever are on this album. Queen of All Seas, top-notch stuff. And probably my favorite on the album is With Fire in My Heart. Pretty much the closing track. There's some bonuses and a little outro, but that is the most epic song on here. I absolutely love it. Easily one of the best Ereb Altor songs. All in all, once again, I know I'm repeating myself. Another amazing album that you should definitely be listening to. Okay, after that, we are coming to 2022. 3 years between albums, this time with a Varg Timon. So this one, features one of, if not my favorite Ereb Altor song of all time. I Have the Sky, the opening track on here. Amazing, amazing stuff. If you've never heard the band, go listen to that song right goddamn now. Possibly their shining moment in their whole career is just that good of a song. It's not like that's the only good song on here, but it's an amazing way to kick off the album. Once again, the thing that shines to me on this album is the variation from song to song. They don't just stick in one style. They switch it up. They'll have a folky song. They'll have a black metal song. They'll have an epic song. And I just love everything about it. It's so balanced and just an excellent album all the way through. The song Alpha Blot really reminds me of Bathory, specifically like the Nordland era. But yeah, once again, a solid album. And that brings us to their newest album from 2025, Halsinger Morker. I bought the limited edition with the bonus tracks on here because I just couldn't resist getting the bonus tracks. They had released those last year, like Midwinter, Skogsgreat, and The Lake of Blood. I needed to have those on CD as well, so I had to buy the bonus edition, not just the regular one. I'm trying to get this out here. So yeah, this is the cover of the Digisleeve, but then you have got, or of the slipcase, sorry, not Digisleeve. Mixing up my terminology. And then this album art as well. Absolutely outstanding. Love it. And yeah, this album, I know it's only March, but so far this year, this is my favorite release from 2025. It's just absolutely crushing it. It's so damn good. This is epic as hell. I don't really know what else I can say at this point. They just nailed the atmosphere so perfectly on this album. It's got the great mix of clean vocals and harsh vocals, and just the songwriting on here is really top notch. They've added in like more riffs on this album than maybe in the past. It just seems riffier to my ears anyway, like an element of, say, traditional heavy metal thrown in there with some of the riffs and solos, and I just absolutely love it. The opening track, Valkyrie and Fate, is so good. But the closing track, The Last Step, is possibly my favorite track on the album. All in all, another shining moment from a great band. So that's their discography in chronological order. Now, because it's always fun to do, I'm going to rank these from my least favorite to my favorite. But going into this, know that even what I'm putting last are still albums that I strongly suggest you go check out. They do not miss anywhere in this discography. These are all good, but it's always fun to try to rank them. Anyways, so in 10th place, I will go with the Bathory Tribute album, just because it's not original material, but is still very good. So don't dismiss it just because I'm putting it in 10th. After that, in 9th, I will go with Natram. Once again, still very good, but maybe just not as standout to me as some of their others. Up next in 8th, I'm going to go with Gas Strike. Like, this is where it's getting crazy hard to me. How is this in 8th place? It's just because their discography is so goddamn amazing. Because, yeah, that could be in the top 2 or 3 on anyone else's discography. But, yeah, for me, for today, I'm putting it in 8th. Up next in 7th, I will go with Ulfven. Then in 6th, I will go with Yarteken. In 5th, I will go with Varg Timon. This is very difficult. Like, this is such a hard ranking. It's just, yeah, give me your ranking down below too, because I'm curious to see, because these albums are so close in quality that I'm having a hard time doing this ranking. I want to get your opinions down below, but let's not get off track. Let's keep it going. In 4th, I'm going to go with their newest one. This has the potential to rise even higher as I spend more time with it. I mean, I've only been listening to it for a month, so who knows, in time it could rise as high as some of these others. In 3rd, I will go with The End. Got 2 more to go. Can you guess it? Can you guess? Probably, if you've watched my channel before. But 2nd place, I'm going to go with Fire Meets Ice. And then, of course, in 1st place, I just can't. This one will never get knocked off its perch. It's the first Ereb Altor album I ever heard. It's the first one that I fell in love with. It made me just want to check everything out by the band. And, of course, that's their debut, By Honor. Just a truly timeless masterpiece. Majestic as hell, epic doom. Amazing stuff. So anyways, that is my CD collection. That's their discography in a nutshell. That's my ranking. Give me your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear your ranking. And if you haven't checked out this band, no better time than the present. Go listen to them right now. You will not be disappointed. So anyways, until next time, Hammer Heart Metal Reviews out.